thing, and I want to know what you guys expect from this. Any comments, questions, things that intrigue you about like what the implications are from having so many different creatures and monsters and pieces of folklore and religion and mythology in the show itself. Like, what do you guys think? I want this to be an open discussion. I am not a source of all knowledge. Please help me. Yes.
Well, like in the show, like when they brought in angels and everything, I was a little worried that it would get a little like too Christian.
Yeah.
Because since they had been doing like the previous seasons, they've done things from all over the like different mythology, and I really liked that and bringing in everything. And so I'm glad that like I love angels and I love bringing it in because they are in different cultures.
Yeah.
But I'm glad the way that they played it, especially like in Hammer of the Gods,
Yeah.
how they had all the different there, and like they're like, this is just the Christian apocalypse, like there's others. And so I really like the mix of religions in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I've noticed from the very start that I've always really loved. I've always been intrigued by religion. I can't English today, I'm sorry. I've always been fascinated by the concept of like of different cultures in whether in the past or modern day, trying to explain the things that happen by deities or by forces of nature that are greater than humankind. And as the seasons have gone on, I have taken note of, okay, so we've got Christianity in here, and we've got Judaism and Islam and Buddhism and Sikhism and Zoroastrianism, and all these different pieces of religion itself, and then there are pieces in mythology, like we've got Arachne in a couple of episodes, we've got, in one episode, we've got Leshy, and we've got we've got Mercury, and we've got Odin, and we've got Deva, and all of these different gods and these different creatures from different cultures, mythologies, and religions, and mindsets. And I have always admired how they took them together and applied it in a way that's almost universal to understand, and still, while being respectful, I think they've managed to be decently respectful in how they've come across in a lot of these things. I know that they've taken some of it and said, okay, this is all the information that we have. The episode Bugs, who remembers that one? Season 1?
I can't forget.
Yeah. I really, really love that episode. Number 1, because they actually had a Native American play the Native American. Woohoo! Thank you. They got something right. Yeah. And I liked how they included Native American culture I like how they incorporated it into the entire setting of the show, because it's another culture, it's another religion, it's another background that you need to fully understand the world and the religious atmosphere in the world of Supernatural. And my glasses are gross. I'm sorry. I just noticed this big thumbprint on one of my lenses. Sorry. Any thoughts about mixtures of religions in the show? Yeah.
I really liked the sort of seamless, like overlapping integration of different religions, because that's just sort of how I see it in my life, particularly. I'm Baptist Christian-y. My husband is Hindu. My best friend is Wiccan. His best friend is Muslim. And so, like, I mean, occasionally we get into these discussions about how each of our separate religions overlap in each other's. And I think Supernatural does a really good way of, like, sort of, you know, there's this and this sort of sect, but also that translates over here. And, you know.
That's something that I liked about when they said, oh, the trickster is actually Gabriel, and then bringing that into the context of Hammer of the Gods, he's known widely as Loki to everybody else. So he is part of both of these mythologies. mythologies, this Christianity, and this Norse tradition, and I love that. Yeah.
I was just going to ask if everyone felt comfortable with like what are religious backgrounds in this room? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm very,
We've got Mormons in here.
I'm an atheist, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Generic Christian upbringing, but vaguely and nothing anymore.
Okay.
More and more I've been relating to like universalism.
Which time do you have? On Facebook, I literally put it's complicated. But, for my a teaser for my theology blog that I actually haven't posted yet is: do I believe in God? Do I think God's a myth? Am I an atheist, an agnostic, a Christian? Well, the short answer is yes. So,
Yeah.
But it sounds about right.
Yeah.
I am personally a Mormon, but I don't like ever down anyone else, and I really love learning about other religions. Like, one of my favorite classes I've ever taken is world religions. Like, I love it, so. But like, personally, I'm a Mormon.
Non-denominational, I suppose?
My dad's family.
But that's really interesting that there's so many different ones, and we all like the show, and we all like the ship, and in
We're all
general,
here.
a lot of the religions are against
Mm-hmm.
certain things, and it's
Yeah.
all kind of cool
Yeah.
that everyone's like,
Yeah. It's something. Yeah,
It's interesting to see a fresh
stand in
face
room.
of different varieties of such religions and stuff, you know, like
yeah.
not everyone is awful. Like, you meet one awful person, like automatically you're like, oh, well, that, like, you think everyone is like that, and then you like meet other people and you're like, my faith in humanity has been restored.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's something specifically to speak to the tolerance of individual people. And some people are just more likely to say, if you're doing what you're doing and it doesn't affect me, I'm cool with that. And there are other people who are completely up in your business and like, you need to do this, otherwise you're going to hell. And I'm just like, I'll see you there. So, and
I'll buy a ticket and
that's,
come along
that's
with you.
kind of me in a nutshell. I'm like, do whatever you want. I don't care. Just don't make me do what you feel like you think I should do, because I'm not going to do that to you because that's disrespectful. And
As I say, Cass is great, because he even said in the show, he's like, we don't care, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's very, I like that they portrayed very much Christianity or Judeo-Christian ideals. Yeah, as they didn't really make them that strict, like,
yeah,
it was just kind of like, no, your Bible's like 90% wrong. It was funny and also like, you know, but
Yeah.
it had respectful tone.
yeah,
Yeah, like that's a really interesting thing that they brought up. Like there is a heaven and hell or whatever in the show, but they're not making it where if you don't believe in it, you're not gonna, like, they don't address it like that. They're just like, well, it depends on who you are, or like what you do with your soul and if you give it away or anything. And I think that's really
how it is, yeah. I think what might be, like, part of the canon of the show is that, number one, we have no idea what is actually, we don't have all of the information, we don't have all the cards laid out on the table, because number one, the show is still going, and number two, it's only been 9.5 years since it first got released, and we have decades more of research and information pummeling to do to the show. So let's be honest with that and say, okay, we've got time on our hands. But something else is that I think that at some point in time they're going to talk. They might talk about it. They might not. If when Destiel becomes canon, there are definitely going to be some repercussions. Definitely some religious repercussions in the structure of heaven and hell and the relationships between those two and Earth and different religions as well, because this relationship is earth-changing. Literally, it really is. And And having that one aspect of a single life changed, it's like the butterfly effect. A butterfly beats its wings in one part of the world, around the world there's a hurricane. And I think that they might address the issue of these different cultures. I would like it if they addressed this issue of the different cultures and the different religions and whose heaven and whose hell is what and where. And since all of these different gods exist in the same universe, and like they said, this is the Christian apocalypse, we've got more to do, what their concepts of like Valhalla in Norse tradition, if like they have their places, if they're actually there, and if they have domain in that area for that religion, if that's the truth.
The curious part to me is like, if it is the Christian apocalypse, like, but what if the Christian apocalypse ruined the world? Where's your apocalypse gonna happen?
Should move sooner,
Like,
I guess.
It's the same world, so it's like,
Gotta be first one there.
how does it work? It's interesting.
I think that they mentioned that in Hammer of the Gods, Lucifer mentions, you guys handed the world to us. So I've always kind of seen it as whoever has the biggest religious like belief base, the most
Kind of
followers,
rules
would
the
be the
world.
one that rules. So that's why like the heaven and hell is more in charge, or it's more along those lines.
Yeah.
I've always taken it that way.
I also like how everyone's heaven is portrayed differently.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's very
Destiel's heaven.
That's what it's supposed to, what his heaven is supposed
But
to be.
yeah, I think that like if that winds up being the case, yes, they've kind of handed the world to them. But if that is the case, is the concept of heaven and hell changed when there's a different religious force in power, so to speak?
I think that we've already seen, I think we've seen some indications that that's true, because when Crowley became the king of hell, the way hell looked changed. You know, and so
went
it seems
from
like whoever, it
the
went
chains
it
and
went from
fire
more like,
and
and so it seems like
everything.
To a
whoever has
line.
power
idea of
over the
power.
world,
To
whoever
waiting.
has power
To
over the world
waiting in
shapes
line.
the way it looks.
Which
Yeah.
I personally
I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's always been my personal favorite idea. That it's whoever.
you have to stand in line, and when you get to the front, you go back to the end.
Kiss is like, oh, okay.
The team is so fast to get out of it.
That's really funny. I mean, just also the picture. This is totally off the topic, but the picture of Crowley in that hallway.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the fact that was the first time Nisha saw that picture,
Hilarious.
and he almost broke character for like a split second, and just like. I love that scene. I do. Anyway, back to topic. Yeah.
How do you think, because Cass is an angel of the Lord.
On the Lord. Hallelujah.
We saw signs coming down here that's like, hell
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah.
We wanted to stop for Cass and posing, but we didn't get a chance. But how do you think that having him in a homosexual or homo-romantic or whatever relationship, how would that, I mean, I don't even want to say it like, I guess I've always, how do you think that'll affect the religious viewers? Do you think that it'll be more open, that they'll be able, that'll have a good tidal wave, like, oh, well, this doesn't matter, because obviously, or will it be really offensive?
I think it comes back to that personal tolerance level. I mean, like all of us here, we'd be like super stoked if it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a problem. But I think that
Like, I don't want the Pope to be like, hang on, you're supernatural.
the Pope would be like, yeah, more power to you.
Yeah, because the greatest
Yeah,
hell ever.
like, yeah. I think that it I know at least a dozen people who it would offend, and that's because I think that they don't understand that this is what's going on.
but I also know at least a dozen people that would be stoked.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
we're
1, 2, 3,
from,
4, 5, 6.
well, I mean, even back we're from Provo, Utah, the most concentrated religious.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hashtag
but-
Mormons. Yeah. Coming from that sort of a background, it's kind of, we know a lot of people who would say, oh, death to all of you, you heathens, thou shalt go to hell. Cool.
Jesus.
I'll wait in line.
Oh, wait, you're not waiting in line, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
Like-
realistically, though, the show doesn't. I mean, as great as the fandom is behind the show, the numbers and the viewers who like consistently tune in each week isn't enough for them to really justify taking such a huge risk. Because I mean, it would definitely. I honestly think it would kill the show if it went canon. Because even if only a third of the viewers were offended by it and stopped watching, it would kill the show. They wouldn't have the network support to continue after that.
They would quickly be replaced by the queer community.
Yeah, they would
Let
jump in
me
on that
tell
one.
Yeah, a lot of people especially would bring in at least as many new viewers.
Season 8 is a great
Yeah.
example of that.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they started teasing a lot more about Destiel, queer fans were like, hey, you gotta get in on this, come watch this. And being in that community, I was one of them saying that, and now after season 9, I'm like, crap, got me to do it. But, so they've actually, they had their biggest leap of, because they got that group that's so starved for representation. So I can see either.
But would they cancel it out of panic? Like, oh no, I made a mistake, let's cancel the show before we see the new book.
Do it at the last 5 minutes, like someone was saying at the Should It Be Canon panel, like last 5 minutes make it canon, and so any repercussions won't matter.
I said do it in like the 3rd episode from the end. So
Okay,
it's not
okay.
quite a cop out of the last 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but there still isn't enough time for them to process it enough to ruin it.
Well, yeah, because they sign on for a season, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't, like in the middle, if they make it canon, they can't just shut it down in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
They have to finish it.
Well, that's a firefly. But no, they were doing it though.
Yeah, but, yeah.
For me personally, if my dad watches the show a little bit, but not a ton, and my mom probably doesn't watch it at all. But like just in my household, my mom would probably be like, "They're a couple, cool." My dad would be a little more against it, but I think in the end he'd be like, "Whatever." But at the same time, like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, "Whoa, they're gay? That sucks." And then it's okay. It's like at first it's like, what? Like shock a little bit, and then it's like, well, it's their life. It's not affecting how I'm choosing to live.
Yeah, I
It's
think
their fictional life.
Exactly.
Like,
I think a little
People
bit
think
of
about it too much.
A little bit of it is that
Obviously.
we're not actually the main audience. We are not the main audience. That's clear. We're here. I mean, come on. But the main part of the audience, I think it needs to get to a point where it's just so blatantly heart-stinging, painfully and awfully obvious before it can do anything. And I don't think they're willing to get to that point in the show just yet. If they go on for the rest of the arc like they want to, I think it will take it to 12 seasons or something. But
I think they were.
They should stop at
The
10.
original idea was for the 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
That was the plan.
I wasn't
I hope
sure.
it's 10
I
because
hope it's
10
10.
years to sell your soul, so we celebrate the soul for 10 years.
I think Misha was saying it looked like there might be a season 11.
Yeah, I heard
that
they
was
said it seems like
He's
okay.
Yeah.
No one can.
Because the
He's a robot.
first story arc shape was 5 seasons.
Yeah, but so
And
I
so
like
I was, yeah.
I would like it to be 10 because I'd be worried that if they kept going, they'd mess it up.
It
Because
starts being a
they
dead
just
horse.
drag it
Yeah.
on and
Yeah.
Nothing the last 2 seasons of the X-Files.
Yeah.
They may or may not get extended if they get bring it for season 11, they have to extend it.
Yeah.
But as far as the religious implications of the pairing being canon, I don't think that it would hurt the show too much because the show is already so all-encompassing.
Yeah.
And so accepting
If it hasn't drawn away the religious viewers by now, it won't do it.
I
know.
Like my dad.
He killed a priest that was preaching bigotry.
I feel
so-
like it would start like a revolution for even other shows.
He is.
Like, it would be something that, like, other should, like, you know, not saying the show would be, like, the guinea pig for, because, I mean, I know that they have, like, gay couples on other shows and stuff, like, just with this huge fandom that we have, and, like, whether you're a part of the Destiel fandom or not, like, I just think it would start something for other shows to be able to encompass with that.
Yeah, and since it's like it's a genre, it's a specific genre and a specific group of people who are watching these shows, to say, oh, okay, this is becoming normal, and I think that would be very, very beneficial for number one, the genre, the subgroup, and society as a whole. I mean, it breeds tolerance, and either people are going to say, okay, I understand this, and they'll accept it and they'll continue watching the show, or they'll have somebody come in and say, hey, you've got to watch the show, and they're going to think it's awesome from the start. Or there's going to be a polar opposite, saying blah, 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 you know the normal things that you get, like walking around a Mormon town with a pentagram on your head. I mean, my messenger bag is a pentagram.
Oh, I was like,
What do you? My backpack for school.
What do you get for that? Like, what do you?
Like you're possessed.
They're just like.
It's funny because it's an anti-possession symbol.
Yeah,
right?
It's like, come on, you people.
This protects me from demons.
Yeah. And when I
Don't
wore
come
my
crying to me
Apollo
when you get
cosplay,
possessed.
that was really funny. They're just like walking around head to toe leather with this license plate on your front with just like they were like I'm really glad that I had a group of really supportive friends who I was part of the sorry, another totally off the books kind of story time. I like telling stories, but I was part of a group cosplay. It was like Super Hulock Holmes. Somebody was 221B, I was the Impala, and then another friend was the TARDIS. And it was great. But yeah, getting back to yes.
Well, I feel like if they don't do it, then there's shows gonna come along soon and like make a like bisexual character.
John Constantine.
Couple, and then they're gonna be embarrassed if they didn't.
Yeah.
Because like.
Sorry, we're talking about Constantine.
Do we know for sure? Do we know whether or not they're gonna keep him bisexual? In the
They
show?
should.
They should.
Well, isn't it directed by like someone from Supernatural? So we're all kind of iffy about it.
Yeah, because I know that.
Yeah, it's true.
I was really sad a few years ago. There was a show that was only for one season. It was on Lifetime. It was Blood Ties, and it was based on a set of books. And the vampire character in those was bisexual, but he wasn't in the series. You know, he only went after women. They never said, you know, he never showed any interest in it. It was like disappointing. That aspect of his that aspect of him was left out. So that's not why I completely canceled this. Why you just Lifetime. I thought that was a good idea. You didn't. So I was sad it got canceled, but I was also sad that they left out my favorite character. So that's why. So we don't know. There's no news on that, I guess.
I haven't heard anything on whether or not they've confirmed he's going to be or isn't, but it's such a minor part of his character. Like it's not even. I mean, sexuality should never be like.
It should never be,
like,
but
Yeah,
you
but
know.
it's like it's nice to have there, you know. It's like if they put in, you know, his being attracted to women, then it would be nice to do.
To
So
also
like
men
it's
too.
what they which
I'm
was the
hoping.
thing. So we'll find out.
We've had so many. We've gone from Will and Grace to Buffy was still way better representation than we normally have. But recently we had it's been over for a long time, but there's Queer as Folk, that was still niche, and then being like Glee, where it's mainstream but it's still pretty stereotyped depiction. So I feel like we've covered all the other bases. It's time to finally have we've gotten to the point where it's time to have a realistic queer character who isn't defined entirely as the queer character, and Dean would be so perfect for that.
Also bisexual that way because I remember there's a character on Glee, I cannot remember her name.
Brittany
complains about how all of the girls she's with were just straight girls that were just trying to whatever, and it made bisexuality look very much like you're just a flirt or playing around or a giant slut. And I'm like,
the executive producer's point of view.
Yeah, they had really bad bisexual erasure on Glee.
Yeah, wasn't really happy about
No, we saw
that.
the first
I mean, Dean's a slut, but we've established that fact.
And even like coming out later in your lifetime.
That's a huge, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's
Yeah.
saving it for cats.
Gee, I wonder. He's met someone special and doesn't.
Saving his demon purity for cats.
I will never not think that when Cass dragged me back on the pit and was like, oh, I'm a virgin again. I always make jokes about it and being like, Cass wanted him pure. I always make jokes about it.
Oh gosh.
Rehiding.
Yeah.
Which is just like hilarious and makes sense. Did you think about that before you said it? It's also like, it's like, no, that actually,
That's not
that's
actually
actually
a thing.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that if any show has been well equipped to do this sort of thing, to have these queer characters and to like have them have like this is an angel of the Lord and this is a hunter and they just happen to be gay for each other or they happen to be bisexual or whatever they happen to be. And I think that if any show were to ever do or have a relationship like that, it would be Supernatural. I think it's the best equipped to do it. And I think that they've taken to the point, I think we've all noticed that, oh, hey, they've done a really good job setting this up for this. And if they don't do it, it will probably feel like a cop-out, like most of the time. And by probably, I mean definitely it will.
They'll shot themselves in the foot if they don't do it.
They've got
Because
This is
someone will
such a
come
cool
along in 5 years and
opportunity.
be like, and they'll do it, they'll get the publicity, they'll get the, you know,
Yeah,
the,
they'll get
Especially
debates.
right now with the gay marriage.
being such a huge thing.
It's
that's
huge
overturned.
right now.
Yeah.
It's such a good opportunity, and they're gonna miss it if
Time is right. Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, you and your timing, the tropes.
Which is why end of season 9 with you did it all for Dean Winchester. I was like,
If they're not using that as a setup, then
you
what the
set
hell
up
is it all
already?
Exactly.
He's
You know,
he's in love.
it's
He's in love with Dean Winchester.
Humanity, right?
I think everyone like gasped. Was like,
He's in love.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
but
they
then
take
he
that back in the
retconned
next
it
one.
Right.
in his last speech by saying, yeah, it's not humanity.
It's not humanity,
You did it
it's
for-
Dean.
you did it for
It's
Dean.
for
Yeah.
Dean.
And then you're just like,
And let's not
Yeah,
forget, if
because
you
they
ever
were
just
trying
It's
to
get
getting
on.
from that guy's point of view. All right.
is it the text?
Metatron.
Pause. The subtext. What are they doing if not?
So,
Ugh.
conversation.
Yeah.
Subtext.
I am excited and afraid and like 12 kinds of anxious.
Yeah.
12 kinds
I'm
of
just gonna crawl under my bed and be like, tell me when it's over.
I'm gonna crawl under my bed and have a huge blanket around me with one eye peeking out like, are they not again? Are they gonna do it? And if not, I can just go, and then just stay there for 5 years. Yes!
I still like to become a burrito.
Be, I don't know, excited or something. I don't know.
Party in the streets, yeah.
Like, what happens when if it goes canon? Do you like go to work the next day, or do you?
Drunk parties.
Party in the streets,
Say
cake
it.
party.
Are you kidding me? I'm cake
All
partying.
tickets went all day. All tickets went all day on telephone. That's what you should do.
Yep. And they'll blow up the internet.
Trash.
Probably, I think the internet would break.
I think we should, if it happened, we should all say, we called it, #DestielCon.
Game.
Nailed it, #DestielCon.
One of my favorite parts will be all the people who, were bending over backwards, coming up with, every possible way they could possibly think of to explain why he was really straight. I can just be like, ha, 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 ha.
And then they'll be like, wait, get on that.
We've been telling you all along, and we were right.
He's just in the
I know you're supposed to be the bigger person, but it'd be nice.
No, I'm lying. I fucking love it.
I don't say as much as them because they're not worth my time.
Oh.
I heard
I
it
cut
very
Kirby
good.
Bird.
Wow.
Yeah, exit. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should probably have noticed that earlier.
They should put it closer.
Yeah.
It's,
Because it's not already red and
Smoke.
shiny.
Oh, that's true.
Rises. Yeah, okay.
That's really stupid.
That one's even stupider.
At least I can see that one. But it's not.
But it's not an exit.
There's exit right over there. No, it's like deeper.
Touch it. Touch it.
I need you to
Touch it. You know where to go.
I have a question
Yes.
for, well, like a discussion question for everybody.
Yes.
With your religious backgrounds, like, what do your, like, friends, family, people think either of you liking the show Supernatural in general and or shipping Destiel?
Ooh, all right.
Okay.
I know that's a really hard question, but I'm really
Let me
curious.
start with
I'm
this.
very curious.
My parents are very conservative. My father is homophobic. That's the background that I come from. And so with my parents they watched me watch the season finale. My mom sat and watched 20 minutes of the episode that aired right before it. Like, she watched the beginning 20 minutes and she's like, this is too much Satan for me.
No, that was several seasons back.
But that's what it seems like to us.
And so I was sitting there like totally engrossed, and my mother is just judgmentally just like walking away slowly across me as I was sitting in the living room, the most public area in my house, while watching the season finale, and just like with my pillow. And she watched me be so engrossed in this amazing, I think, an amazing TV show, and she's just like, I don't want you watching the show anymore. She literally said that to me, and I said, good luck making me stop. Yeah,
9 seasons too late.
Already.
9 seasons too late. 9 seasons too late.
Yeah, basically. It's like, sorry, Mom, I'm gone. Come back next time. But having them like be around me for like that experience, my mom, I understand, is totally against it. She's totally against it. She hates that I watch the show. 90%, 90,000% sure that she hates that I'm here. But that's why I don't tell her things. I don't remember the last time I talked to my mom on the phone, so.
What are you doing in Ohio? Are you a Supernatural?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if that's a good thing to admit, but it's true. I'm sorry. She's recording it. Anyway.
Oh, I was like, what's going on?
I could go next. I grew up in a very Christian family. This one's my
Gotcha.
younger sister, and I convinced my
Similar
parents
stories.
to let me take her here
Woo!
by not telling them where I was going.
Where are you
Is
Supernatural?
They know about Supernatural.
Yeah.
My dad is very misogynistic. He's very
all my
homophobic. He's not.
Yeah, it's like my dad.
Yeah,
Well,
I get you.
My
Except
mom's
I'm
a
like
little,
Like, whatever.
like, she doesn't think evolution is a thing. That
Yeah.
type of, okay.
My brother's like that.
Yeah, so, but they seem to watch, they see us watch the show, they've seen bits and pieces about it. My dad seems more open about the, the demon-y stuff. He's like, oh, because it's fiction. My mom's like, you're gonna get possessed by Satan and walk out of the room. But the actual, like, context, I guess, of this, I don't know, we're just gonna go back and tell them that this is what we went and saw, that we're gonna tell them it was all about a gay ship.
See, I
Afterwards.
I probably won't say anything because I know that my parents are a lot less tolerant than I am. My parents are very much conservative, and I understand that, and I respect that. So I won't say, hey, these are the things that I'm doing, look at this! Because I know what they would say. And they would say, don't do this, you're going to hell, this is satanic, you're going to be possessed, and I'm just... I've always been the stick it to my parents kind of daughter, so I'm the one that's like, yeah, I dated a woman, sorry. Not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. So I guess the reason I would tell them is because I tried my darndest to get them to understand that point of view. Because they've gotten better than when I was younger. So that's my upbringing. They're
Well, my upbringing, the only reason I'd want to tell them about this is to get them to understand. My mom's brother, when he was 17 years old, came out as gay and tore their family apart, basically. It was terrible. So I love it if we could figure out how to...
Stick it to him.
No, not that. make it understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love.
I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that'd be the only reason I would.
You know, in 100 years from now, people are going to be looking back and they're going to go,
Wow, this is just like when everyone was protesting black people.
Yeah, well, that, and they're also going to be like, so you had nothing else to argue about. What people, who people love? Wow.
Yeah, and you're,
And we're worried about
you're
getting
the-
married.
So kind of going along with like how her uncle tore apart her mom's family. Like,
Well, he didn't. They did.
well, yeah, but because he came out like, so like I've said, from Provo, Utah, crazy. I had a friend who came out. He was like hung out with my entire friend group pretty much, and after he came out, pretty much every single one of them stopped talking to him, like except for like me and a few others. But the only, like, it made me angry because honestly, the only thing that changed was that he came out. Like, he was still the same exact person. He was just not in hiding anymore. And it was just really frustrating, in general. So it's like, just...
Why representation is
This is
such a-
fine.
Exactly.
It's because
so
it's, especially in art culture, people view it as different. They view it as
And that's why
strange
it would
and
be
weird.
brilliant to bring it in.
Well, but on
It's
television,
scary.
television is a huge...
Mhm.
And these are the discussions that people were having about interracial couples years ago.
Yeah.
And now if you see a black and white couple on TV, it's no big deal. It's because it has to start somewhere.
Yes.
And I think that this, like, Destiel is the perfect place for it to start, I think.
And
It's
there's
been perfectly set up. It's the perfect place for it to start. I mean, we have this entire beautiful setup. Not only are they beautiful,
Hey, well,
we have this perfect setup. We've got all of this subtext completely done into all of these seasons. Whether or not it's been intentional, it's there. It's like, Jensen, I don't know what you think you were doing, but you were doing this. But it's the perfect setup, and it's a perfect way to start normalizing it. And even with our society today, I don't know why I started to announce those. Sorry. Even with our society today, it's going to take a lot of work because people still aren't on the same page. And if it's going to start somewhere, it's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've got a couple of places that it has started. I mean, we've got Glee, we've got a couple of other places, but Glee.
It's not genre.
Shameless.
Yeah, it's the same genre, but
Nothing.
if it can hit at least once and stick and be normal in a single genre, it can go to other ones. And if it sticks once each in those, then it'll start to become normal. And that's where tolerance will begin. And that's something that I would like to see at some point in time. Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't think that, I mean, I've studied film a little bit, a few classes, which of course makes me a, expert now. But I don't think people understand the importance of, like, in the, not to TV, but in the boonies of, like, where my ancestors are from, which is West Virginia, their main source of learning about different cultures is a television, is watching the show. And so the fact that they're already hooked on Dean, who doesn't love Dean Winchester?
Yeah.
They're already hooked on him. Shut up. Yeah. The fact that, if he came out, it's way harder, for them to then go, oh, how are you going to demonize that character now?
Well, they already did that.
They already did that in the season.
So it's really important that it's in a main TV show, in a main character that is broadcasted, like, all over those places, like where you guys are saying you live, because then that'll get out, and then it'll be harder to demonize, because you don't know any gay people, like you guys do, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
if you're in the boonies, you don't know anyone, so it's way easier to be like, you're going to hell. But when you know someone and you talk to them, it's way easier.
And it's someone you admire. if it's like a character you admire, you're not like, oh, well, then I'll still like you.
Then you'll make excuses for them, and then you'll start to get the tolerance, and that's where
Yeah.
it has to start.
It
there.
starts by making excuses, I guess. It's I mean, fake it till you make it. That's what I go by. I mean, look at this panel. But it's just.
Bless you.
She's dead.
See, it works in this panel. Bless you. They pass bless you and keep.
There you go. Well, don't make me laugh that hard. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, just like on the topic of normalization, I don't know if anyone here has seen the Kevin Smith's movies, and there's he had this this film series named Jay and Silent Bob, and he made a point in one of the movies later on in the series, Dogma, which is actually a religion. It was about angels, blah blah blah. But he had a point in the movies where he just had one of the angels was reading Jay's mind to prove that he was Rufus was reading his mind to prove that he was a prophet, and he was like, well, tell me something that nobody knows. And he says, well, you masturbate a lot, and he's like, everybody knows that. He says, but when you do it, you're thinking about guys. And Kevin Smith said, the reason he put that in was to say, well, this is a character that people already know through his other films. I mean, they're more obscure films, but they're still had a cult following, and he's like, so they already knew the character, and so he wanted to make a point of the character doesn't change just because you know that when he's getting off by himself, he's thinking about guys sometimes.
That's the funniest line for that exchange. The person's like, well, what people don't know is that you're thinking about guys when you do it, and his buddy sort of looks at him, with a little surprise, and he just says, well, not all the time.
Yeah.
And then they just move on.
Yeah, exactly. It's just part of his character.
I love that line.
Yes.
You can see because I'm behind you, but as soon as you start talking about Dogma, you're not happy again.
Yeah.
I
But yeah, it's related. Yeah, so it's all part of that, process of normalization. And yeah, Kevin Smith actually specifically said that that's the reason for that in there is big one to say, look, it's just part of life. Some people do that, and it's just part of who they are.
Some people are gay, some people are straight. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it's all.
Some people are heteroflexible, like I'm straight and shit happens. So.
That's my favorite. I'm straight and shit happens.
But, yeah,
I think my experience has been quite different from your guys, because we're from New Zealand, which you may or may not remember.
Of course we can.
It's so excited here, by the way. I'm just like, when you walked in the door, I was like,
Dedication.
Wait, you're looking at me? What?
Yeah.
What? Yes! Why does this keep happening?
You really don't realize how big of a deal you are.
God, what is this thing?
There's so much love in this room.
Okay.
Did you come just for this?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Right.
you're wonderful. And you smell really good.
Most dedicated award.
Yeah.
You can sit back down. Please.
Do you really not realize how big of a deal you are? Okay, sorry.
You genuinely are. Like, we've been freaking out for the past 3 days.
True story. I'll vouch.
Anyway.
But yeah, I'm not sure if it's just my experience, but New Zealand is a very open place. Like it's very queer friendly.
New Zealand.
I'm sneaking in your luggage bag.
Like I have never sought out a queer community. I've never been involved in those communities, and yet, just the people that I meet in life, if I met a straight person, they would be the unicorn. Like seriously, I would say, like, really, you're actually straight? Like, not even full of tequila? So the representation and normalization thing, it's not that we're a minority that needs representation. It's that having everyone in the media as straight is a lie, because if you're just using my experience, the majority of people are queer. Almost everybody is queer, at least a little bit.
At least a little bit.
So
Yeah, I
the
understand that.
normalization is like it's deliberate blanking out of a huge portion.
Oh, yes.
Like just because
Yeah.
it's a very deliberate thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
done
just
rather than-
completely washing the network. It's network.
Well,
Washing
yeah.
that community. There we go.
And not
That's
just
the
the
word.
sexuality, but the racial diversity as
well.
Yes, it's just completely washing you out of the picture.
I don't know if you know this about America, but we're a little behind. Smidge than the rest of the world.
If you leave yogurt,
When we first got here, we watched something on TV. I think it was The View or something.
And that was not a good start.
But what we noticed is that there was 5 women, 2 of them were black, and there was one guy who wasn't even in the shop. And it was like a non-fiction thing, so there's like actual people talking. But I have never seen that on TV ever. Ever.
We don't actually watch a lot of TV, but still, we don't watch daytime TV, but still, just like having that.
Missing anything.
well, I don't know. I can't speak for.
How's it been otherwise in your experience? Because
Well,
I've been in
white
America
men
my
talking.
entire life.
White men doing things all the time.
White men doing things. That's great. Sorry. Not sorry.
Sorry, not.
Like any show that has gotten out of America and into New Zealand and that we see on TV, it's the same thing over and over again. I mean, like pub shows or dramas.
Because New Zealand's very small, we've got a very small population, so therefore.
I've never seen so many black people. It's amazing.
We've got Maoris, not instead of black people.
Yeah. But you don't notice it because we're just so used to it, the diversity.
Yeah. That's something. But New Zealand's got a very small population, so something like Destiel would never be able to happen there because even if it's 1% of the population would give its money. If it's 1% of the population will give its money to, that's too small because you have to import everything. You can't do something unless it's completely mainstream. So just like I was saying, I really love this con. I have no interest in fan fiction. I don't read it. I don't write it. I barely watch the show. But I adore being here, and I may get back into it just for being here because of having this.
Because you're such an amazing bunch of
because
people.
the energy of you people are having the people with this kind of energy in one place. So many of you, it's been completely amazing.
So much hugs.
I love
Mental
hugs.
hugging you right
I
now.
love hugs.
I love hugs.
I love hugs.
We should have a group hug when this is over.
Yes,
Good.
I can get on board with that.
It's been an extremely personal panel.
That's true.
It sounds like my sort of religious background is very different from a lot of people's because it was a bit of a scandal at the church I mostly grew up in when the pastor came out, but he ultimately was not kicked out of his position, which was nice. Since long before I even knew I was queer, my parents were involved. The United Methodist Church still officially in the Book of Discipline, which is like the Methodist Catechism. The Book of Discipline still officially is homophobic, and my parents, since long before I was out, or even to myself, have been involved in the movement to try to get that changed. The priest of the church I go to now is a lesbian, and my seminary has a giant rainbow flag in one of the common areas. So, yeah, so my background is very different, but to me, when I think of the religious implications of Destiel, coming from my super queer background, to me it's completely different, because like I was at, I guess it was some, either during Advent or during Christmas, like to me there's a lot of religious implications, and they're all beautiful. Because like my priest at one point was talking about the theology of the incarnation, God, the second person of the Trinity, leaving this glory of heaven to live among the muck and filth of humanity because he just loves us that much. And I heard in my head Cass saying, much of the time, I'd rather be here. And so I feel like my appreciation for supernatural and my faith strengthen each other so much because I see all these parallels in especially Cass. And especially you get into the bridal theology, which often is about just Christ and the church. The church is often called the bride of Christ. Also, I'm really interested in monasticism, so there's a lot of idea where you're married either to Christ or to the church, depending on whether you're a man or a woman.
I thought Mormons were polygamists.
Yeah. But so to me, the idea of Cass and
Don't enforce the
a book
stereotype.
that is really powerful to me is by this priest. He wrote a book called Falling Upward about how experiences that feel like you're falling can ultimately actually be the things that are the